Hello and welcome back to the channel, everyone. For those that don't know me, my name is Simon and I'm an ethical hacker. And behind the camera lens is the great man, cameraman Clint. Cameraman Clint, say hello to the people.
Hey guys.
Awesome stuff. Guys, in today's video we have a phishing video for you where we'll be using a tool called Evilginx2. But before we get into that, I want to say a massive thank you to all of our subscribers that have joined the channel. We have just crossed over 1,000 subscribers and we couldn't be more grateful. And if you haven't had a chance to subscribe, now's a great time to do so. Okay guys, before we get into the video, I need to put out a quick disclaimer that this is strictly for educational purposes only. Please don't perform any of the attacks that you're going to see in the video on anyone you don't have permission to, as that is strictly illegal. And with that out of the way, let's get into talking about the tool. Okay guys, so Evilginx2 is an advanced phishing. Alright guys, Evilginx2 is an advanced phishing framework that acts as a man-in-the-middle proxy. So what makes it special is it doesn't just capture user credentials, so passwords and usernames, but also session tokens. And these session tokens allow for attackers to bypass two-factor authentication. It's a tool that's rarely used a lot in red teams and by penetration testers around the world.
Okay guys, so you can install Evilginx in two ways, either by building it from the source code, or if you're using Kali, which I am here, you can download it from the repository. For the second option, it's enough to just run the following command to install it. So let's get into the VM. So it'll be sudo apt install Evilginx2 and then tag Y is just to say yes to all of the questions that it asks. So as you can see, I already have it installed. So after installing the tool, let's check out how it works by looking at the help menu. So we would just specify Evilginx2, tag H for help, and you can see all of the different options. So we have tag C for string, so to configure the directory path. Tag debug is to enable debug output, and then tag developer is what we are interested in. So the developer switch will generate SSL certificates for all the host names. If you haven't bought a domain, you won't be able to establish a secure connection, as it will just error out due to the failure to establish a secure connection. Guys, let's talk about what a fishlet is. So the second important option is the path to your fishlets. And fishlets are small YAML files used to configure Evilginx for targeting specific websites. By default, fishlets reside in the root directory of the Evilginx binary. If you installed Evilginx from the Kali repository, the default path is the user share Evilginx fishlets path. So we could cd into that path to show you guys the user share Evilginx2 fishlets, and we could just list all of the services in there. So you can see there's an example YAML file. Let's cut that out to check what it looks like. So this is what it looks like. The min version specifies the minimum version of Evilginx which is required to run this fishlet. It helps ensure compatibility and prevent errors that might arise from using an older version of the software. The proxy hosts, second one, is made up of a fish sub, which is the subdomain used for the phishing site, the original sub, which is the original subdomain of the targeted site, the domain, which is the main domain of the targeted site, the session indicates if the session cookies should be captured, and then is landing is specifying if this is the landing page where the victim is first directed. So these entries configure how requests to the subdomain of the phishing site are mapped to the original target site. Then we have sub filters. So triggers on means the domain on which the filter should be applied. Then the original sub over here is the original subdomain. So this one is academy here, so it applies to the academy subdomain. Then you have domain, which is the domain where the replacement should occur. You have search, which is a regex pattern to search for in the response body. Then you have replace, which is the replacement string for the match pattern. And you have MES, which is the meme type to which filter should be applied. So for this one, it's text/HTML. Then we have auth tokens. So in the auth tokens, we have the domain. So the domain from which to capture cookies. And we have keys, a specific cookie name to capture. And then we have credentials. And credentials is quite self-explanatory. We will have the username and password sections, which define how to capture the login credentials. So we will have key, the parameter name using the HTTP request. So email is obviously the HTTP request parameter. We have search, which is a regex pattern to extract the values, type, the HTTP method used to send the creds. So this one is obviously post. And then for password, it's just repeat of username. So then we have login, which is consisting of the domain, which is the domain of the target login page, and the path, which is the path to the login page on the target site. So this section specifies the URL of the login page where the creds should be captured. Okay, guys, so the first thing we're going to need is a phishing domain that we're going to use. And since we're all doing this locally, we are going to need to put that into the etc host file. So to do that, we're going to run sudo vim etc hosts. And I'm just going to delete that. So we're going to start by specifying the localhost IP address, and then the name of the phishing domain that we're going to use is going to be security-update.com. So we're going to use that so that we can resolve the domain name without querying the external DNS servers. Okay, so let's just write and quit that. Cool. Then the second thing is we're going to need a fishlet. So as you can see, I only have the example.yaml fishlet. So the one that we're going to use is from GitHub. It's called the Audible link fishlet, and it is over here. So let's go and download it. So we don't want we want this one. So we want Evilginx2 fishlets because we haven't got Evilginx3 yet. So scroll down, and this is the GitHub one that we're going to use. I don't know why the click didn't go through, but anyway. Cool, let's go for raw and copy this address here, and then we're just going to use wget to download that. Awesome, so now we have the GitHub YAML file. So guys, what you want to look at is the proxy hosts. So we are going to need to specify the API and the GitHub subdomain in our etc host file, because these are the subdomains that could be used as well for our phishing domain. So let's go back into that etc host file and edit them. Cool. So we're just going to put it next to it here. So security api.security update.com and github.securityupdate.com. Cool. There we go. The etc host has been updated. Okay, awesome guys. So we have the fishlet set up and the hosts file set up. So now we can get into running Evilginx. So to do that, it's going to be sudo Evilginx2 with the developer switch so we can do local development. Awesome. So first and foremost, we are going to configure the domain that we want, and that's going to be securityupdate.com. And we're going to configure the IPv4 address as the local host. Cool. That's incorrect. We need a dot there. There we go. Cool. And let's just make sure we got that right. So by catting out the Etsy host file, we can see. Cool. So securityupdate.com is our phishing domain that we're going to be using, and we have specified that there, and we are using port IP 127.0.0.1. So the next step is to set up a host name for the phishing URL, and we can pick whatever host name you want with as many subdomains as you want, under the condition that it ends with the top level domain that we set up in the config domain option that we just ran now. So this over here. So I'm just going to leave it the same in my case as the server one, as it just makes it easier. So to do that, we're going to go fishlets, host name, and the fishlet name is GitHub, and the domain is securityupdate.com. Cool. So now we have set up the fishlet and we need to activate it. So to do that, we're going to go fishlet enable. So enable GitHub. Okay, cool. So now the fishlet is enabled, the GitHub YAML file that we're supposed to be using. And the next step is to make a lure. So a lure is essentially a pre-generated phishing link, which you will be sending out to the target, and it has to be assigned to a specific fishlet. So it's quite easy to make. You just type in lures, create GitHub, and it creates the lure with the ID 7, and then to get the URL we have to go lures, sorry, I don't know where my E key is, lures, get URL, and then 7. Okay, cool guys. So we have the URL that we're going to be using to send to our target. So let's do that now. Alright guys, so just a quick recap. We first started by configuring the domain to securityupdate.com, as you can see here. We then specified the IP address to use, which is localhost in this sense. We then created the fishlet using the GitHub YAML file. We enabled the fishlet over here. We created the lure, and then we got the lure URL using the ID that it was created with over there. Okay, so now what do you do with this? Well, you would send this to a target, okay, which is what I did here. So if you guys can see that, I sent a phishing email to HackerSci over there, and I titled that suspicious login, and I hit them up with a to whom it may concern. IT has noticed that your GitHub account has been flagged for suspicious activity. If you could please log in using the link below to verify that this is a false alarm, that would be greatly appreciated. Failure to do so will result in account closure. Please find the link below. So this last part here is to make sure that the target acts and does not just delete the email, because there are consequences. So that's what I sent to HackerSci. And then this is what HackerSci saw in his inbox. So HackerSci got a suspicious login email. So HackerSci got the suspicious login email, and now he's stressing. So he will probably click on this link, and we'll see where that goes. Okay, so HackerSci now clicks on the link, and he goes to his Google and pastes it in there to visit it. He now sees the login, and he starts the process of logging in. So he types in his email, hackersci@proton.me, with his password. And he hits sign in. It hits him with an incorrect password because he's used the wrong password there. So you see it is proxying the traffic, so it checks if his password is actually correct. And then when he enters the correct password, he has logged in. So he seems to think that this is a completely legitimate exercise, but little does he know. So now you can see, after he logged in, we were able to capture his password. So you can see, yeah, he typed it in wrong. This will with only one OWL, and then when this one you typed in, it was all authorization tokens intercepted. So what makes this great is that we not only get the password and username, but we also get the session tokens. So that is going to allow us to bypass two-factor authentication. And to do that, we'll just type in sessions. Cool. So to get the sessions that we just got, now we'll type in sessions in 8. So that is the cookies that we need to capture, that we've just captured, sorry. And we're going to put that into the browser now to bypass two-factor authentication. Alright guys, on the left-hand side, you're going to see the cookie editor open and with a sign into GitHub there. Then on the right-hand side, you're going to see all of the cookie information from Evilginx. So what I've done is I've basically gone and copied across the values from Evilginx into the cookie editor. As you can see here, I've put them all there so they just match up. Perfect. And now I'm going to click reload and hopefully we bypass two-factor authentication. And we do. So as you guys can see, I have now logged in. As Simon says, get hacked, and that is how you bypass two-factor authentication using Evilginx.
Alright guys, that concludes the content for today's video. If you liked it, please leave a like on the video and consider subscribing to the channel as it helps us grow. If you guys want to see me cover Evilginx2 with all its new and improved techniques, please leave a comment down below. And with that, happy hacking, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace! All units, occupants are attempting to be on foot. Proceed on foot, proceed on